Rough Trade is giving away a third of the first 3 months of the Rough Trade Club plus new music membership exclusively to 101 Part-Time Jobs listeners. Become a member of Rough Trade Club New Music and you'll receive the Rough Trade Album of the Month straight to your door every month on an exclusive vinyl pressing with bonus material. Club members have received exclusive pressings of albums from Sufjan Stevens, Sprints, The Last Dinner Party, English Teacher, and Over Mono, just to name a few, this past year alone. Sign up using the promo code CLUB101POD and you'll get Rough Trade's Album of the Month, Camera Obscura's Look to the East, Look to the West for a third of the usual price. By signing up, you'll be getting Rough Trade's exclusive issue of the album on opaque purple in a gatefold sleeve, plus a bonus CD containing 5 demos. Don't want the album of the month but still want all the benefits? Sign up to the standard tier using Club 101 Pod and you'll still get the first month free. You'll also get free shipping on all orders, 10% off at the bar and on secondhand vinyl in store, and exclusive access to sold out Rough Trade events. So don't hang around. Head to roughtrade.com/club and sign up with the code CLUB101POD. That's CLUB101POD and claim money off Rough Trade's Album of the Month today. This offer is for UK residents only. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this.
Everyone is talking about magnesium. It's all you hear about. But why? What do we know about magnesium? Well, magnesium is the #1 mineral that 75% of Americans are deficient in. If you are a woman over 35, magnesium will help you rediscover balance, energy, and vitality. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those involved in hormonal balance. From functional medicine doctors to mental well-being and female hormone experts, we all know that magnesium is the one mineral to improve all aspects of well-being and health. But which one? Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, the trusted choice recommended by leading experts with 7 best-absorbed forms of magnesium to ensure your body receives the support it needs for overall well-being. Go to bioptimizers.com/balance today and use code BALANCE10 for 10% off. Support your journey to wellness at bioptimizers.com/balance. Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, your foundation to optimal health and vitality.
I'm 100, I want part-time jobs. I'm 100, I want part-time jobs. I've been working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 101, 101.
All right, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. It's where I speak to bands and musicians about how they're able to do what they're doing. Everyone knows that right now is probably the hardest it's ever been for independent musicians. Being in Britain, it's pretty difficult to find a way to sustain yourself financially culturally. And that's what I want to get the stories from. These people have put music first. They've done everything they can to pay for the van fuel to get to gigs, to print up t-shirts. And today's episode, we hear from Big Special. These two are from West Midlands. They've lived and they've worked a load of different jobs before the band has started to really take off. Their new record, Postindustrial Hometown Blues, is out today. You can go stream it, go buy it. They've got Bandcamp. You can go buy their merch as well. Really like this chat. When I started this show, I had a particular kind of person or group of people in mind that I wanted to speak to, and these two really kind of hit that spot. They've worked a load of different jobs, they've had life experience, and they put that experience into playing music and into Big Special. Cheers for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening, on Spotify or Apple or any of that. If you've got 30 seconds, you can leave a review. That'd be massively, massively appreciated. Thank you. Shout out to 2000 Trees, brilliant independent festival down in Cheltenham, 10th to the 13th of July. The Gaslight Anthem, The Chats, Don Broco, Manchester Orchestra, Bob Villain, Hot Mulligan, Hot Milk, Cleopatra, Turnover, so many great bands. Crawlers, who I saw in Liverpool at Sound City, they're on a recent episode 2 days ago. If you want to head to 2000 Trees and have yourself a great time at a festival in a field in the great British countryside, go to 2000trees.co.uk and use the voucher code 101pod to get 50 quid off your ticket. That's 2000trees.co.uk, 50 quid off your weekend ticket by using the voucher code 101pod. All right, coming up, we got Big Special on 101 Part-Time Jobs.
101 part-time jobs.
It's like it always seemed like a mad, impossible thing, really, that there were people out there who just made money off music. I remember meeting the odd professional musician and like being like, so, you know, just thinking like, fuck, like you just do the music then, and that pays everything, and you're out here at the pub now drinking on the music money. And yeah, it always seemed like a mad thing, because there's no knowledge of the way to do it as well, or like the business side or anything. It was just the idea I had in my head for like a good 16 years was like, well, you just make music, put it out and gig as much as you can, and at some point someone will hear that who has a bit of power to help you out, like, you know.
Yeah,
I suppose that is the fucking truth in a way. But
we also had our first, while at college, we had our first ever pay an earner from music together at the same time.
Yeah.
We'd started a little band, where it was actually quite a big band. It was like a 6-piece, and then because we were only the true bromance, we slowly whittled it down to just the two of us, as is our want. But we put on a gig at Scruffy Murphy's in Brum, which was our local for when we was at college and that, so we used to drink there anyway. And we rented it out ourselves, and we put like 4 different mates' bands on the lineup, charged 5 quid a ticket, you know, proper like just DIY, first old school, like putting on your own show together. And yeah, it was mad. I remember like at the time I was working at Wetherspoons when we got to college, and I think you were still a labourer at the time, weren't you, Joe? And
yeah, man.
we'd made like more than a day's work that we'd make on like proper graft off like getting drunk at Scruffy Murphy's, putting a gig on.
Yeah, we had 70 quid each. I remember we had 70 quid each at the end of the gig, and I was on 40 quid a day at the time. And then we were driving home, weren't we? You were taking me home, and we stopped and had a kebab. And I remember us just hyping this kebab, being like, fucking music bought this kebab, man. Music bought this kebab. And then it only took us another fucking 13 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first and last paycheck off music for quite a while. But
that was 13 years ago. That feels like an age ago.
Yeah, thereabouts, yeah. 13 years.
It feels like another lifetime, especially now this last, you know, it's funny time to have this chat because we've only just pretty much gone full time with the music, 3-4 months ago. And even then, you know, we'd still have to step in and work a bit here and there, but it's the first time music's been like a sustainable income, nearly.
Is that from touring?
Yeah,
Publishing really is the main one. Publishing and merch. It's the merch at the gigs, and we like so we're bringing in about minimum wage now, like on the month, but it means a lot more when it's the thing you've chose to do. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Thing, and that, like, that minimum wage is that sound. Keep that coming.
Makes you want to scrimp it and live within your means, because
Yeah, man.
there's just something radical. There's not a lot more powerful than that.
I think we're all quite aligned on it as well, though, which is nice. Is because we took so long building this album and took so long building this project. Now it's finally like got a little bit of traction and a bit of legs under it. You know, we probably could earn more off it, but like a lot of the money ends up going back into the project. You know, we the fees for the gigs pay for the sound man, the van. Now we've got lighting designer in as well, so we got our own little lampy. All of this stuff we think that adds proper value, because we want it to be like we want it to do it proper. Do you know what I mean? So I think when
you're scaling it up, I guess it can sometimes be like an unsexy thing to be like, okay, how do we do this and how do we scale it up and how do we take something, and you know, talk on this show a lot about it. How do you make something fun and something so raw? How do you take that seriously? You know, how do you like reconcile those two ideas so that they work together and not against each other?
Well, it's like people are paying to see you, ain't they? And it's like, you know, if it was easy to make money doing it, every fuck would be doing it, you know. And it's this is that like vital like starting point really, where we're like trying to establish ourselves, you know, as our album comes out and really does that for us, you know. And so we're scaling up where we can, you know. It's people who know people in our team. We're a really small team. There's only 2 of us in the band, so it's like where we can scale it up within our means, we will at the moment, and then hopefully, you know, that pushes more people towards us, and then, you know, soon enough, hopefully we'll make some money off the gigs then, you know what I mean? But no, I think it's a bit more important to just do the biggest, best gig we can, as, you know, as 2 people standing on the stage, you know, you got to think of that like visually as well, you know.
And there's a lot of things to think about. And I imagine, I mean, you tell me, like the things you're thinking about, are they all lessons that you've learned along the way in the last 13, 14, 15 years? You know, just even things that you might take for granted, you've learned the hard way how to do it the way that you want to.
You don't want to be that band that's like preach, oh, please buy all our merch, buy our tees. You know, you don't want to be, we always joke, you don't want to be proper QVC in it and that, but learning the value of selling merchandise and how to, you know, by doing it all yourself and stuff, that's sort of the only shoe in the door for making it properly sustainable at these shows. Otherwise we'd still having, even with the publishing, we're probably still having to be work full-time jobs and that. But the most lessons have come in literally in the last 365 days. I mean, we've been signed like a year and a half or something now, and we got signed just before Christmas 2022, and then it's just been non-stop, and you know, learning how the business works in reality. Like, it turns out it's one of them ever-shifting beasts that, like, you can learn about and try and study and everything. But if you're not in it and doing it, it seems quite redundant. You know, it's like you can't keep on top of it, you know. And
Was getting signed to So Recordings, was that a game changer for you?
Oh yeah, man, like the be all end all really for us, you know.
We were so early on when we got signed. I think I don't, you know, we've done the album together and stuff since 2020 in lockdown, and then we started gigging April 2022, and then got signed in December. And in that time I think we got signed on our like 10th gig.
Yeah.
So obviously we'd been doing it forever, and I think it's more of a testament to just like, you know, the label taking a leap of faith, because there was, except for enjoying the art that we were making, there was absolutely no incentive for them to sign us, really. They just believed in one of Joe's mates from school, him and his brother moved to London, and he's a tiler in it, John.
His brother was working on our guy's house, tiling or something, and he played Shithouse.
We were putting all our songs out ourselves and that at the time, and we'd just put Shithouse out, and he showed Adam. Adam got Joe's number, and
they gave him doing some work for Adam as well, and then he pushed the song towards him as well, and it was like Shithouse started like cropping up to him a couple of times, and he was like, oh fuck. And
You joking? So your mate was tiling someone's house down in London, the house of an A&R scout, and he played it to the A&R scout, and the A&R got in touch with you.
yeah, but kind of, yeah. It's not as with the his brother. My mate is his brother, and he was doing some work for Adam as well at the label, and he showed him the tune as well, I think. But that's where it all started, yeah. And he just found us, and then found the manager, and took us for a curry, and that was that.
That's really good.
But it's the stuff like it's I've got a massive respect for independent artists and stuff, and how they pull it off and everything. Like wouldn't have a fucking clue, especially all the stuff we've learned this year. Knew nothing about it, and like for at least for us, and that it makes you realise, like, man, if we didn't have like the resources that the label like have provided, it's just like a fucking rocky road. It's an hard road anyway. Saying that it's happened quick, but it's also been 16 years of doing it in various forms. So it's like it's a weird thing. But there's there's money that comes from the label, and that we wouldn't be able to do half the stuff we've done without that sort of money. And it's just provided that it's like getting a fucking business investment or something. And it's just like someone's gone, right, yeah, we'll back you up to do the things you need to do to spread this music about, and. Yeah, it changed. Yeah, that changed everything for us. Like that's why now we're full time and yeah, putting an album out. You know what I mean, like proper.
Yeah, great. And I want to, you worked as a labourer, Joe. You worked as Callum. You worked at Spoons. Was that the story throughout most of your 20s? Was it bar work and labouring work while playing music on the side?
It was literally every job in. I mean, we've done. I've worked every single inch of hospitality, from KP into bar management, and that was I did some personal training. It's sort of like all the way along. Both of us have sort of bounced across two different philosophies, I think, on it, where it's like having a part-time job. Well, while being a musician, it is a full-time job in reality. You're working 40, 50 hours, so it's like, do you do something that you care about, or do you do something that you can leave at the door? Because if you're going to spend 50 hours a week doing something, I always thought you may as well do something that you enjoy. Otherwise, it's just going to slowly kill you. And a lot of people don't have that choice, So being able to pick a bar that you like working at, or something like that, or do you do something that you don't care about, and it sort of narrows your mind and focuses you on doing the music. And yeah, after the pandemic, after we'd spent, because I'd lost all my work in hospitality. We'd spent so long working on the album and having that social space where, 60, 70 hours a week, you're not doing the whole spiel to strangers selling booze. I felt like I couldn't go back to it after lockdown. So I actually became a trade plate driver, just became a van driver. So for the last 3 years, I've been van driving up and down the country, vehicle transportation. So it's very boring, like swapping out British gas vans for the gas workers and that. And
could you listen to tunes on the way?
That's sort of been the best part of it, is I've just been rinsing. We'd spend I'm pretty sure I've chatted to Joe more than he's chatted to his wife in recent years, because I'll just be on the road, just calling him, chatting about the band, making plans, wheeling and dealing. And it was because I was a self-employed contractor with it as well. It meant I was going off on tour for 2 weeks. All right, sound. I'll graph like mad for a month, and then I can take that time off. I think I got to the point where I couldn't have a boss again, and that's been the best part of it, And then slowly over the last year, that van work started to decrease as the gigs started to come up. But we've done every job.
Done a lot.
For the man sitting there with the fluffiest fro, you were training to be a barber for a bit.
Yeah, I was. I did, labouring with my dad, and straight out of school, he had he's my stepdad technically, but I call him my dad as well. And he does waste removal. Like, he's just had his own little lorry for 30 years. Like, and he's done jobs, and then he does a few things for the council, like, and we'd clean like the. What do you call them? Like Life of Grime, we called them. It was like the borders or like dead people's flats and stuff like that. And it was mad.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was a mad. We'd done everything really, anything that was shit really that needed fucking taken away. But We did. Yeah, you see all, you see all sorts of fucking lives like doing it and that. And done
Is that a real reality check? You know, when you go into someone's house who's like a hoarder or someone who has like a real kind of like much lower quality of life than you've ever seen with your own eyes. That must have happened.
We did it from a young age, really, like in school holidays and stuff. Like start going to work at school holidays, like from like 12 of them and that. So we've always seen it like. And like I suppose that's informed my perspective always, you know what I mean? Is that sort of thing, like someone always has it worse. And you meet like fucking dickheads as well and all that sort of stuff. And it is a mad job. Like I think it's like offered like fairly like unique like fucking
perspective.
Yeah, perspective. Like, you know, especially like being there, doing that, and trying to make music and like write lyrics and shit.
I guess these things you don't really know until afterwards, but do you think looking back on it that it put some imagery in your head and it put some ideas in your head,
man, yeah, always.
Kind of a vision?
Always, yeah. I even knew it then, you know, like the whole time, like, you know, I've always tried to take from that, even in my old music and stuff. Yeah, I'd say it's like one of the most important things to me. You know what I mean? So much of our stuff's about work and about the perspectives of life that come from, you know, being a person that is like literally here to just work. You know what I mean? And how that has become like the main human experience. Like, is go to work.
An experience is. I think growing up reading Enemy and Kerrang and all the magazines and websites it would go to, forever it was like, if you're not the Strokes by the time you're 18. It's probably not gonna. No, it's not for you.
There's classism in that, man, as well. Like, you know, it's that thing of like, you know, you don't realise it at the time. You know, I think that's why stuff's working for us now at like 30, because as you're growing up and stuff, you don't, before having the internet or even knowing how to use it or like being like politically aware, it's like, you know, you're not class aware either, and you realise then that so much of that stuff is you didn't hear about their jobs and all that sort of stuff because a lot of them were, you know, fairly privileged, like, you know what I mean, and could get on in what they wanted to do straight away, you know.
I think now's an exciting time for that because we're seeing just more and more. It's like the music industry is just more accountable. You see it everywhere.
I think so, yeah. I think that also breeds a lot more people pretending because they are aware but still want to succeed. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got their insecurities and stuff, you know. I'm not even slagging them off, really. It's that, you know, you can't help what you come from, and if you're looking at the stuff you love and want to be part of it, then any sort of barrier like that can feel unfair, you know. But I suppose sometimes you just need that a bit of perspective and time to like look at it fairly and like realise, you know, how it does work, you know. It's that, you know, the biggest thing with that sort of thing really is just the lack of acknowledgement of privileges, I suppose. There's that, like, there's a middle class guilt that like isn't spoke about, I think, where they've come around to it a lot more when it comes to like racial issues or like you know, identity issues and stuff. But I still think when it comes to like the white middle class and the white working class kind of thing, there's still quite a bit of middle class shame there when it comes to like cultural stuff and like just like not even like calculated appropriation, but how things just end up being appropriated because socially people like enjoy that stuff.
We're right in that time when post Blair, everyone was like, get a big mortgage, get a massive credit card and go and get yourself a ton of student debt because that's how you get a real job. I left the Midlands, moved down south to study at uni because I was like, sound. I did a BTEC and I made 70 quid off a gig with my best mate. Like, this is clearly like the path to go and you know, to go and get a proper career in music. And
you were right.
Yeah, it just took coming all the way back round to the Midlands, didn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah.
But it's that, you know, everyone borrowing themselves into oblivion in that attempt to get up the ladder, which was never really, you know, as we discovered, it was all a bit of a illusion, you know. But I think as a band, me and Joe, I think if we'd have stayed writing and working together, I don't know necessarily if we would have come out with the band and this album as it is now. I think it took years of perspective of our own graft and you know, that time in jobs that you don't like. I think it's why we look up to bands like Sleaford Mods and people like that, because similar situation, I think they were older when they started to finally get there, weren't they? They were like 36, you know?
Yeah.
And being that bit older and having worked shit jobs for so long and just having that perspective, I don't think that's something you can properly mirror. I think people do sniff that out. People do understand well you know, you're an 18-year-old singing about this sort of shit. What are you going on about? Like, I find it very difficult to believe you. Whereas, you know, having that extra time, it ended up, and you know, best thing for us as well as just as mates. We're closer now, I think, than we ever were back in the day, Joe. Just because obviously we're touring, and that's a whole new learning curve to itself. Like, but
and it's storytelling. It's what we want when we're listening to a record. We want storytelling, truthful storytelling that has all of it. You know, that has the deepness, and you can't fake the deepness, the reality.
No, man, no. And that's like, if ever as a artist or creator in anything, if you find it important to be honest, you know what I mean, then I think, yeah, for me as a consumer of art as well, like, then you're on the right track for me. You know what I mean? It's that's what I want to hear. I feel like that's the point of it, really. Do you know what I mean? Sound like I'm like wanky bastard now, but like, this is like, no. It was, I was thinking about, like, me and my wife always talk about shit like that, like, get interested about like art, like, socially, and also like how now it's art as industry, and it now, you know what I mean? Like, before art was industry, like, the only reason it existed was socially, like, you know, for people, there's, you know, when they didn't have fucking Game Boys and fucking so yeah, we were talking about like the cave paintings, you know, from fucking back in the day, way back in the day, and they're saying, like, you know, it's like the whole thing of it was whoever did it going, oh, look that's the buffalo, and that's me, and that's you, and it's like, it's just an honest depiction of like their life and time, like, you know, and I feel like it's all you got to do is do the same. You know what I mean? Just do the same now. Just point out the cows. It's stuff you've been through. I think that's the main thing people like to hear about, and they're interested anyway, is struggle. You know, pretty much every fucking thing we consume through media and art is about some sort of struggle. It was around the recession time, and I was working with my dad, and we were doing these house clearances for social service. It was actually quite sad, because you really see how shit, like, people are looked after, like, when they're supposed to be looked after by social services, and like living in like complete fucking squalor. And but one of our jobs was cleaning out this woman's house who was in a bad way, and they hadn't fixed her toilet for her for 6 months, and she went in the bath. So, like, she did it in the bath for 6 months. And that was our job for the day was to do that. Anyway, my dad's really fucking old school and tight as fuck, and we never get any, you know, like, proper tools and stuff like that. But he did splash out for a few fucking CSI jackets, you know, where he had the old fucking white, you know, the little fucking sperm suits on and that. Wow. And then we just used the wheelie bins. Like, we brought our wheelie bins from home and the wheelie bins from this woman's house. And my dad went, oh, right, we got to break the skin. And then we got to break the skin, we got to shovel it out into the wheelie bins. He said, I'll go and buy a bag of shavings to soak it up, like. Anyway, he come back, got this bag, whipped it open and dumped it in the bath, and it was a fucking bag of bark chippings instead. So it just increased the amount of stuff. And yeah. Anyway, and then it was me and a guy called Liam, like, who he's still doing a bit for him now, actually. I think he's out with him today, and my brother. But we just, got the shovels in the bath, and we just filled 6 wheelie bins full of shit and tried to, and we had to get them down the stairs in this fucking mid-terrace house and strap them onto the back. And then we took them to the tip, and we just pushed them off at the tip and emptied them out. And I got paid 40 quid that day, which I had to give him straight back for my bed and board.
For the pleasure.
And that's I remember that day. That was a growth day. That was like, it was,
wow.
I just wish that I wish that 2024 Joe, like, just lean over 2000 and whatever Joe's here and just say, kid, just don't. 12 more years, don't worry. Just
16 years ago. You just go,
don't worry.
You'll be fine in 16 years. Landon being alive now.
Wow. I tell you what, the hardest thing I think that's been coming up though in recent years is the collision of the two, because, you know, we getting signed was a massive step up for us, but the last year before we managed to get to the point where we could go full time and not work anymore, the night shifts on the gigs, and then jumping on the vans the next day. You know, that effectively having 2 full-time jobs really got so busy with the band nowadays. You know, it needed our full-time attention without the full-time wage yet. So yeah, the pinch point, it's one of the things Adam said it. It was like, when you get signed, you have to work harder than you've ever worked in your life as a musician, you know. You know, he ain't wrong really. Getting signed wasn't his £5 million, you're never going to work again, you know. It was like, it's
here's a loan, and then you'll pay it off, and hopefully you'll make some on top.
So that, the last year of like trying to juggle both has been increasingly difficult. But you know,
well, good on you.
We're both in a lucky position where we both, you know, we've got great partners. Joe's married, I'm engaged. It was the first thing I bought with the label money. I got her a wedding ring, an engagement. And when I should have probably been, you know, saving for bills and that. But hey, love conquers all, even the tax man.
I mean, it's good, you know, it's good chatting to you now, and I'm sure we'll chat in like later on this year and next year and the year after, because it's a constant, ever growing story, isn't it? You're like always learning, always changing, always trying to keep on moving forwards, I guess, without sounding too cliche. Yeah,
man. But that's all anyone's ever doing, and it is that in their own way. You know, forced or not, you know. And I think we've always been doing that, doing what we got to do, you know, responsibilities and all that sort of shit. And now we're doing the same. It's just a different set of responsibilities, and we're actually doing the thing that we wanted to do, you know. And it get you know, more busy now than any of them jobs was on about.
Yeah.
That's funny, isn't it?
One of my favourite bits of advice that we've got over the last few years is when we toured with Sleaford Mods, which again, like for us was, you know, a kid in a candy shop. We'd literally meeting your idols, and we're privileged enough to say that we, like, you know, regularly chat with the lads now, which is mental. But Jason told us it'll get to a point when it will feel like work, but it ain't. And he's he's been right, man. You know, there's days, especially on like the long tours, we've been away from home a lot more than we've ever been used to, you know, away from our families and partners and stuff, which is a big learning curve.
We're no one skivvy now, and it's like as hard as it gets. It's like we always say, it ain't stacking shelves, it ain't driving vans, it is driving vans a lot, but it's the
I'm the only one with a driving license here, bro, so don't go talk about driving vans.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is literally driving vans. But you know, it ain't stacking shelves, ain't digging holes, ain't fucking pouring pints, and you know, and you're not like just a nameless face like doing a job. It's like we're doing our thing now, you know, and so however hard it is, it's not as hard as doing a normal fucking job. You know what I mean?
Cheers for telling me these stories, and because this is, you know, you don't get this many places, so I appreciate you being open and honest and being up for the chat.
I had a little listen to the podcast earlier today, man. It's a really cool idea, this good perspective, because I don't think people talk about the reality of coming into the music industry, having to graft and that. And
we can really judge people as well listening to it, you know. So.
Big time. Yeah, if you're shopping at Waitrose Basics, that's low. You know you can judge. I like to end asking if you got any memorable work gaffes. I've fucked up at all the jobs I had. I bumped into a mate the other night at like a rough trade thing. We used to work together at the pub about 7-8 years ago, and he was like, "Giles, I think it's so funny you're speaking to people about jobs because you were so shit at yours when we worked at the pub." I was like, "Oh, cheers, mate." But I was just like I didn't mean to be a bad worker. It was more like dropping glasses and like I had never turning up late too much. But have you got any memories of work mistakes?
Oh yeah.
There was one, the worst, the most financially horrible one I had, which luckily I didn't have to pay. A fucking nameless corporation paid, so you know they can deal with it. I was working in a wine warehouse, and you'd get pallets and pallets and pallets come in, and I'd be on the morning shift, just unloading these pallets and stacking them up to, 10 high stacks of wine. And no man should be awake handling machinery and working before say 11 o'clock. I've never been good at mornings. And just in a sleepy days, I just like backed up into one of the stacks. And it was like two like 6 foot tall stacks of champagne just came crashing down. And I was the only
Real
one.
champagne.
Yeah, chilly, spenny champagne. And I was the only one in the warehouse for another like 8 hours. So I had to clear it all up and wait for. And it was just a whole day of waiting for the manager to come in to be like, oh, he just smashed thousands worth. And I left that job very shortly after that, actually. So that was a bit silly. That was crap anyway. You literally stand in a warehouse moving boxes on your own for 12 hours a day. That was crap. I'd get home, I'd forget how to speak. I forgot how to speak to humans.
Is that just from being alone all day?
Yeah, I feel like two ends of the spectrum when you're working in a warehouse on your tar door. And the same with the van driving. It's why I'd call him and just, if he couldn't pick up the phone, I'd call my fiance. But you know, if you're not speaking to people so long, I feel like I forget how to do it, and you know, forget how to converse normally. You're just speaking to yourself in the warehouse, going slowly insane. But yeah, that was probably one of the most expensive pack-ups I had at work.
I managed to get a Sunday job at a cafe in a shopping centre, in like a posh town centre, and I only got it because I was going out with a girl there. But they fucking hated me, man. I got on my last shift. I did a 2 hours shift, and I had 8 complaints. And
on a 2 hour shift,
just took the piss. Yeah, they're all posh, man. You know, fucking, they're like, you know, they just had to have it, man. And then there was a woman who asked if we had any croque monsieurs left, and I didn't know what one was. And then the woman said it was a cheese toasty, and I was like, "Oh, no, we didn't have any." And she was like, "Oh, so I'll have to come back another day then, will I? If I want one of those?" And I was yeah. And I think they just hated my
weird.
I wasn't a higher standard for this calf. But yeah, I had 8 complaints in 2 hours, and then they sent me home. And I got told off for whistling.
It's not very nice.
I know, yeah.
Well, whistle.
I know. Oh well.
Hey, looking forward to the record. It's exciting times.
Thanks, man.
So there was Big Spesh on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Cheers for listening. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe. We put out 2 episodes every week, and we have all kinds of different guests coming through these doors, all of which have their own stories. Big Special's debut album, Postindustrial Hometown Blues, is out today. Go listen to it. Great record. It's got its ups, it's got its downs, and it's just real. Thanks to the band for coming on. If you're in a band, or if you play music, if you know someone who plays music, they can put out their own records online, get it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, all the rest of it through DistroKid. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get 30% off their first year. It's affordable, you make all your own royalties, and it's fun to use. That's distrokid.com/VIP/101pod.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.
Ba, 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 ba.